Saturday morning. And that means it's time to catch up on the local and statewide high school sports scene. Welcome to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Now, here are your hosts, Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
You know what? If you're batting 500, that's a pretty good average. And that thing's been batting 500 a lot lately. Matt Hatfield's here, but no Coach Ed Young. Thomas Simmons is here, though, on the other side of the glass. And it is High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com and Larry King Law. Engineer next, you know who to call, 757-INJURED for Larry King. As we take you up till noon today on this final Saturday of the month of June for 2019. Good gravy. The whole half the year's almost gone. What's going by? They do say, Thomas, as you get older, that the year goes by fast, time goes by faster. I never believed that as a kid, but as I'm aging, it's clearly true. I think when you're like a 12-year-old, time stands still, but when you get...
Yeah, I don't know how we're closer to the year being over than we are to it starting.
You see, you don't know how we're closer to being over than starting?
What we've been through... I guess, yeah, pretty much. In 2 days, we'll be past that point.
It's wild, isn't it? I mean, goodness, 4th of July is coming up. Don't go out there and play with fireworks, kids. And we got a poll question that's up on our HS Sports Talk 941 page on Twitter. Thomas might be able to pull up for us our HS Sports Talk 941 Twitter page to see. It just got posted. So we have a lot going on today. We'll have some interview playbacks. There's a lot of these football camps that have been going on, 7-on-7s. I've been taking them in literally nightly. And I can tell you it is getting warmer and warmer and warmer out there. It's hot out there. It's supposed to get up in the mid-90s today. So if you're going outside, be prepared for the heat wave that is coming here as we embark on the month of July. But anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, you're more than welcome to do so with us this morning till noon. Give us a call at 757-687-9494 on the Trinity and Trilogy Tattoo Hotline. That is area code 757-687-9494. We spoke a little bit about it on Wednesday nights, 757 at 6. The Virginia high school football schedules are out for the VHSL. The master schedule's been released. If you want to view it yourself, you're more of a visual person like I am, and a lot of people are more visual learners, and people like to see things. Go to VirginiaPreps.com. We have a link. It's in fact right at the top of the front page. You'll see it. You click that link, it takes you right to the entire schedules for the whole state. But if you want us to go through your team's schedule today, I'm in a bold mood, Thomas. I'll go through anybody's schedule and tell you how your team's going to do this year, record-wise. And you can come back in November and tell me how wrong or how right I was. So you give me any school out there, I'll give you the win total today. Maybe they'll forget by November, I hope. Sometimes you hit those, you never know. I could say your school's going 7-3 and they could go 7-3, or they could very easily go 3-7. So, but give us a call at 757-687-9494 and I will tell you how your team's going to do. I'll go through it week by week, game by game. For your school out there. It can be anybody locally. It could be someone outside the Tidewater area here and the 757 area code. Just give us a holler at 757-687-9494. You can hit us up on Twitter too at HS Sports Talk 941, HS Sports Talk 941. Have you gotten a chance to find that poll question that's up on our HS Sports Talk? What do we have up there today?
All right, we've got a very special question on our poll today. We're asking simply, where is Coach Ed Young today? We've got 4 options
for the
folks. First, watching the Yanks-Red Sox game in London. Of course, he's a big Yankees fan, so he might have pulled some of his strings, gotten his connections, and taken a flight over the pond to watch the game. Option number 2, in Suffolk, taking the day off, maybe just needed a vacation, needed some personal time. Option number 3, very specific, Charlotte. And then option number 4, Las Vegas.
Ooh, I like those options as people are calling in already for their football schedules. They want us to go through and tell how your team's going to do. So hang tight. We'll tell you about that in a little bit here. So there are the options. You heard Thomas say, is he taking, I don't know if he's taking the day off. He never takes the days off. He's like the people say no days off. That's it. He says no days off. That's his motto and philosophy. So I'm not buying that one. So I can scratch that one off the list right off the bat. He doesn't take days off. He's in a gym somewhere, or he's doing something. He could be cutting the grass. He could be riding a roller coaster. His life is a roller coaster, let me tell you, folks. So he's doing something. Now, the Yankees-Red Sox thing is very true, but I don't know if he's got a passport or not. So that could be the whole kicker. Does the coach have a passport? I'm not sure that he does have a passport. So that could eliminate that one. I think he'd definitely like to see that game, whether it's in person or on the television, on the tube, on the telly. And then the other one, Vegas. He's always wanted to go to Vegas, and he's been there before. I don't know that. A rumor told me he was going to go in one of the later summer months, like August or July or something. But he could have moved that up. That's very possible. So give us your take on that. So, and you can also give us your thoughts. Any school you want to hear us go through the schedule and how your team's going to do, give us a call at 757-687-9494. I see some people already lining up for their team schedules. Let's talk first to Mark in Yorktown. You're on ESPN Radio. How's your Saturday going so far, Mark?
It's going great, man. Thanks a lot. Fast.
You bet. What's happening?
Yeah, just moved up to the area, and I just wanted to start following a team up here, so I moved up to the Tabb School District. Just want to know how was Tabb going to look this year.
Oh, awesome. Thank you for the call, Mark. I'll put you on hold and give you my response on the Tabb Tigers under Matt Lawson, veteran coach, who's done a good job over the years over at Tabb. And a little trivia nugget for you guys out there. You know, Tabb, along with First Colonial Thomas, the only two schools in the entire 757 that bring in winning streaks of multiple games into this season. They've won 3 in a row. They didn't make the playoffs, but they won their last 3 games over Grafton, Bruton, and Jamestown to finish up 5-5. Had a tough schedule out of the gate. They had to play Hopewell, defending Class 3 champ last year, and took a 41-0 loss on the chin in that one. And then First Colonial, under a new coach last year, and Carlos Martinez, opened up 0-7, then won their last 3 over Princess Anne, Green Run, and Kempsville. But the Tabb Tigers, as I mentioned, under veteran coach there and Matt Lawson. Let's go through their schedule here out in the Bay Rivers District. If I can locate it here, it would help, wouldn't it? It'd help me if I could find it right here. I've got the Tabb schedule. I just got to pull it up here. All right, Bay Rivers District for Tabb. They've been in Class 3, and they're still in Class 3 Region A. They don't move up. Their first game is Hopewell. Oh, I'm sorry. That's not a win in my eyes. Get a bye week. War Hill, I think they can take. Poquoson, tricky game. Swing game for the moment. Probably an edge to Poquoson. Lafayette's going to be hard. Then that's on the road. Both of those games on Thursday nights. Poquoson at home, Lafayette at Warner. Then they host York at Grafton, host Smithfield on the 17th of October, New Kent at Bruton at Jamestown. You know what I see for Tabb? I'm going to go 5-5 or 6-4. They might be able to get to 6-4. I'm going to say they pull an upset there. I got faith in Coach Lawson. I'm going 6-4. For the Tigers. Now I have the right to reserve. I reserve the right to change my mind as we get closer to August, early September, and I find out more about some of these teams. But I'm going to go 6-4 right now for Tabb. I think that the trickiest ones from toughest to least toughest would be Lafayette for sure, Hopewell, and actually Hopewell and Lafayette right there, and then Poquoson, and then I think they might, either a Smithfield or York. They might pull one of those two as a mild upset, if you will. So I'm going to go 6-4 for Coach Lawson's Tigers. Give us a call at 757-687-9494 if you want us to go through your team's schedule. They're lighting up here on High School Sports Talk. Let's talk to Dave in Poquoson. I imagine you want to talk about the Islanders, Dave.
Hey, you right. Let's stay in the Bay Rivers and give me the Islanders for a year.
All right, here you go, Dave. Put you on hold. Give you the Islanders of Poquoson High, Elliott Duty's group, which is always making a deep playoff run. They've been a state championship contender at the Class 2 ranks the last couple of years, if you recall. And last year for Poquoson ended up falling to Goochland, who they beat the season before for the regional crown, 21-14. I'll blame that on my co-host to Coach because we had Coach Duty on, and I think they lost right after we had it. It wasn't my fault. It was Coach's fault. But let's give you Poquoson's schedule. As you heard, we just went through Tabb. They're going to play them. And being in Class 2 for Poquoson, I think, is a benefit from being in Class 3 or Class 4. They are at Southampton out of the gate. New coach for them, as you heard Keith tell us a couple weeks ago, with Littleton Parker not returning. I think it's a win. Then they get a bye. Then York is going to be a tough one. But I give the Islanders the edge there. At Tabb will also be tricky. New Kent at home to close out September. Then they're at Smithfield October the 4th. That's never a picnic. Home against Jamestown. Home against War Hill, who's got a new coach. At Bruton, who's got low numbers. At Lafayette, that's the hardest game on the slate, no question about it, November the 1st. And then a home against Grafton. I see 9-1 for Poquoson. I think that one L, that one blemish is going to be Lafayette, who's been the king of the Bay Rivers District on that long streak in league play. But I like Poquoson's chances in Region 2A to make some noise even more now because Goochland, who, by the way, opens up against Lafayette, they're in Class 3 Region A with – I checked that. They're in Class 3 Region B. Goochland is, but they're still a Class 3 now. They moved from Class 2 to Class 3. Goochland's a Class 3 school, so Goochland is out of the way for Poquoson to make a playoff run at the Class 2 level for football. So, Dave, I tell you, your Islanders got a great chance to make a state semifinal, and I dare say maybe even a state championship run. East Rockingham, who got to the state championship game and lost to Graham, who was led by Purdue signee Cameron Allen at quarterback, do everything quarterback. He has graduated from Graham, and East Rock graduated a bunch of pieces. So I like Poquoson's chances to go very far in Class 2. Let's see if we can squeeze one more in here before we go to break. Let's see here. I got to see if I have the schedule. I think this is Jacob in Virginia Beach. Jacob, you're on ESPN Radio 94.1. How you doing, sir?
I'm great. How are you?
Not too bad. Not too bad.
All right. I got Norfolk Christian for you.
Norfolk Christian. All right, Jacob.
I've got a private school in there.
Yeah, I don't know if I have that in front of me at the moment, but I'm going to look for it here. So hang tight, Jacob. If I don't have it at the moment, we'll go back to it later in the show because we have the VHSL schedules, but we are efforting some of the private school schedules. You're in luck. I have a 9-game slate in front of me. They open up against Thomas's school. Do we call them now Catholic High since they're no longer Bishop Sullivan?
Yep, we're just Catholic now.
Catholic High. I think Catholic's got a few more pieces than Norfolk Christian. But Norfolk Christian is going to be – listen, they made some noise the last couple of years and surprised us. So I'm not going to say that's a definite there. North Cross, Atlantic Shores, at Roanoke Catholic, Fredericksburg Christian on September 27th. They're at Roanoke Catholic September 13th, by the way. The Bishop Sullivan game's August the 23rd. The North Cross game's a 1 o'clock afternoon game on August 31st. Same day, in fact, as Old Dominion's home opener against Norfolk State in the new stadium. You also got 2 great high school, public school games that day with Lake Taylor playing Phoebus over at Darling Stadium in a doubleheader. Maury Bethel is the first game of that. But back to Norfolk Christian. So you got at Catholic, North Cross, Atlantic Shores, at Roanoke Catholic, Fredericksburg Christian. Blue Ridge comes to Norfolk Christian October the 4th. Nansemond Suffolk Academy October the 19th. At Christ Church October the 26th. And then at Norfolk Academy on November the 1st. That is a pretty challenging slate for the Ambassadors. Tim Bender's squad, who's done a good job. They were 4-4 last year. They got 9 games on that slate. I'm going to go 4-5. Sorry, Jacob. I'd like to be better, and maybe I'll get more info and data and names of note too. We haven't gotten back their survey yet. We've put out surveys to all the public schools and private schools around the state. We've got back about 40 of them or so across the state, and we'll be resending those for coaches that have not turned them back in the next couple of weeks here. The VHSL dead period's coming up this week. But I'm going to go 4-5 for the moment. I could change that and bump it up to 5 or 6 wins. I don't think I'll bump it down, but I'm going to go 4-5 at the moment. There's a couple swing games there that I'm not quite sure about. Remember, Christ Church was a double overtime game last year for them. That's a swing game. North Cross could be a swing game. They beat them by 5 last year. So thank you for the call, Jacob. And we're going to take a timeout. Oh, don't worry. We're going to get to Keith from Smithfield. I know you're hanging there, Keith. We're going to get to you. We've also got Rodney Taylor scheduled to join us, the new head football coach of the Menchville Monarchs, around 10:45 this morning here on ESPN Radio 94.1. And we've got a bunch of playbacks. If we don't get to them all today, they'll be on VirginiaPreps.com, including John White from Bayside, Creighton Incorminias of Bethel, Granby new football coach Larry Archie, Indian River new football coach Marcus Farabee, Hank Sawyer of Lake Taylor, Joe Jones of Lakeland, Anton Kennedy of Wilson, and we'll let you hear the interview we did about 2 weeks ago or so with Arthur Moats out of Churchland High and JMU, who recently retired from the NFL. That's all coming up here on High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com and Larry King Law with Matt Hatfield, Thomas Simmons as well. Don't you touch that dial because it's ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Welcome back on this beautiful Saturday morning, 83 degrees outside here. It's a little bit before 10:30. Matt Hatfield here with you. We got Thomas Simmons, our producer engineer, On the other side, the Coach Ed Young is nowhere to be found, but you can weigh in on our poll question on HS Sports Talk 941 and tell us where you think he might be. And if you know where he is, you are more than welcome to call in at 757-687-9494. You're also encouraged to call in about anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, specifically high school sports on this program here from 10 a.m. to noon every Saturday. We'll take your questions and comments and suggestions. And if you want to know about your high school football team schedule, we'll run through it, and I'll give you my early forecast for it at 757-687-9494. And we go back to the Trinity and Trilogy Tattoo Hotline and talk to the one, the only. They broke the mold with our pal Keith Holloman from Smithfield. Good morning, Keith. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fine. How you doing, man? Hatfield, Tommy. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. How are you, Thomas? You doing well?
Yeah, I'm doing wonderful, Keith. Thank you.
I'm glad. I thought he was going to call you either Dino Lindbergh or somebody else. But good job, Keith. Are you excited for football like everybody else is?
Yes, I'm excited, man. I'm ready to see the season start cranking up, man. It's almost here.
It is almost here. Any schedule you want me to run through for you here?
My local team, my local hometown team, Southampton Indians.
See, this is a hard one to give you a forecast on, Keith, because I don't know who their new football coach is. Do we have a name yet for who it is?
I don't know the name. They'll should be announced so soon.
Oh, they haven't even announced the guy. Haven't even. So maybe are you a candidate? Have you put your name in the hat there?
No, I ain't put my name in the hat. I figure who will be who is coach. I hope it be somebody local.
Okay. I agree. It would be someone that's got some Southampton ties and that knows the program real well. But I'll run through it for you here, Keith. They open up at home against Poquoson, and that's been a tough series as of late. With the Islanders, as you know, it's not been too kind to Smithfield, and I'm sorry, not Smithfield, Southampton. They're at Rappahannock after that, Class 1. I think they'll get that W. And they got a bye week, and they're at Colonial Heights. That's another game that's going to be difficult, although they've had a couple of coaching changes of late. They had Buzz Edwards there from Dinwiddie, former assistant, and he left to go to Ohio a couple of years back. So they've had a little bit of some coaching turnover at Colonial Heights. At Sussex Central, who's usually a power, had a down year last year, played a lot of young kids under Curtis Jefferson. I think they'll be much improved, certainly more experienced. Swing game at the moment. At Brunswick, Class 2, home against Greensville. On October the 11th, October the 18th, they're home against Surrey. At Windsor on October 25th, and then they go into November with a home game against Parkview of South Hill, and then at Franklin, another Tri-Rivers District rival, to close out the season on November the 8th. And Franklin obviously lost its best player from last year to graduation in Draylen Ford, who ended up signing with Wake Forest. So I'll let you go, Keith. You got a pick on how they're going to finish up record-wise? You know Southampton better than anybody, I think.
I think Southampton they're gonna get the playoff. The guys, I know the guys gonna work hard, man. Who the coaches you got there, them guys gonna work hard because they can come out the gate fast. They cannot come out the gate slow, because if they come out the gate slow, they're gonna be in trouble. They got to come out fast against Poquoson. We ain't never been Poquoson since I played at Southampton. Last time we beat Poquoson.
I was just about to say, Keith, it's been a while since they beat Poquoson. In fact, the last time the Indians beat Poquoson was 2006. So it has been a long time. We're talking literally here. You throw in that's 11 years plus 2 playoff games. It's like 13 straight losses. And again, Poquoson's a very good team. They could go to the state championship in Class 2 this year. And I would, for your sake, Keith, I hope you're right. For your sake, but I'm going to respectfully disagree. And the main reason I disagree, it's nothing against Southampton. The coaching late hires concerns me a little bit, but more than that, Lafayette now drops down to your region. Remember, they didn't make the playoffs last season, so you got to deal with Lafayette, Tabb, who just missed it as well, and it should be improved. York, you got to deal with Hopewell in Region 3A. You got to deal with Petersburg, who I just saw this past week at the Portsmouth camp. They're pretty darn good, and they have a tough schedule. Booker T. Washington with one of the best running backs around in Rodney Hammond. Norcom, Phoebus. It's going to be tough sledding to get in, and they only take 8. So
it's going to be tough because my nephew. I'm going to the Southampton Surrey game. Matter of fact, my nephew, he playing football, first year of football, varsity, senior year. He going to play for Surrey.
Oh, nice. Okay, so if you want to see the infamous Keith from Smithfield, you can see him Southampton hosting Surrey on October the 18th, which means you'll miss Smithfield's game that night. You want us to go through Smithfield's schedule for you?
Yes, I got 2 schedules I want to get off before I get off air.
All right, what you got?
I got the Phoebus and and Smithfield schedule. I want to do both of them.
All right, I'll give you Phoebus since I'm right here in Class 3 anyway, so they can stick on that page. As we've teased, as we've mentioned before, they have that big opener on August the 31st at Darling Stadium, part of a doubleheader at 4 o'clock that day against the Lake Taylor Titans. You'll be hearing from Hank Sawyer a little bit later on the show, a quick interview we did with him yesterday out at the 7-on-7 at Bayside. They're at Menchville at Todd Stadium on September the 6th. Host Kickingham, host Hampton, at Bethel, host Gloucester, at Denby, Warwick, October the 18th, Woodside on a Thursday night, October the 24th. That's going to be a key game. They're, I think, 13-2 the last 15 meetings with Woodside, although 4 or 5 of those last meetings have gone down to a touchdown or less here. And then they close out the regular season on a Saturday, November the 2nd, 1 o'clock at Heritage. I'll tell you what, Keith, I think they have a distinct possibility to go 10-0. But that first game is going to be the toughest one of all. I know they got Hampton, I know they got Woodside, but Lake Taylor, that's a tough one. That is a real swing game. I think Monday I was going to pick Lake Taylor. Tuesday I was going to pick Phoebus. Wednesday I'm back to Lake Taylor. I'm not sure who I'm picking in that game just yet. For the sake of right now, I'm going to say 9-1 for Phoebus, but I will tell you that I will not be surprised if they go 10-0.
I got a feeling they're going 10-0 because I think Phoebus going to beat Lake Taylor this year.
Well, here's the thing. They could go 10-0, and you could be very right about that. But if they start out 0-1, they're not going 10-0. So that first game, I'm throwing that into the equation, and also Hampton, Woodside, they're not guarantees. Woodside plays them tough, so they could very well beat Lake Taylor and get tripped up that second-to-last game by Woodside. Not saying that's going to happen, but I'm going to say 9-1. I'm sure the Phoebus fans will take that as a slight because they are very well capable of going 10-0. I like this Phoebus team a lot. I'm telling you right now they're going to start either number 1 in the state or number 2 in the state in Class 3. But I'm going to go 9-1 for today.
You
want Smithfield, right?
Smithfield last
Let's give you the Packers here of Smithfield High. All righty, let's pull them up here. Smithfield's schedule. They open up at a home against Kings Fork. That's going to be a big one there. You know, local tie-in. First game for Kermit Buggs, the former ODU assistant coach, as the head man of the Bulldogs of Kings Fork High. Then they get the bye week at Jamestown, September the 14th. That's going to be a 1 o'clock Saturday game. How about this one, Keith? At Norview is what I'm seeing on September the 20th. 6-day quick turnaround. That's going to be tough. Then they're at War Hill, who has a new coach, September 26th. They host Poquoson to open up October 4th, October 11th at Lafayette, October 17th at Tabb. They're at home against York. And then they go to Grafton on November 2nd. Host New Kent to end the year on the 8th of November. Keith, I'm going to go second year for coach over there. I'm going to go 5-5. I think it's a very tough schedule when you throw in the fact that you got Kings Fork and Norview there. Those are two very challenging out-of-district games, and you can't forget about that tough 4-game stretch in a row of Poquoson, Lafayette, Tabb, York. If they're not careful, they could be 4-6.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough one for us. And I ain't know the Jamestown is a 1 o'clock game. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's what the VHSL is stating. Again, some of these times and dates and locations can change, so certainly check back with the VHSL website, and we'll have some more info on virginiapreps.com, but that's what they have posted at the moment on the website. So there you have it.
You have a nice day.
You too, Keith. Think of a good weekend, and we'll talk to you again in July. The one and only Keith Holloman from Smithfield with us here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com and Larry King Law. We might squeeze another caller who wants to go through schedules here. We'll be joined by Rodney Taylor, new head football coach of the Menchville Monarchs here on High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com. In a little bit, we'll have some playback interviews as well here on ESPN Radio 94.1. You can always find links and polls and all kinds of high school sports-related info on our Twitter page at HS Sports Talk 941 and on VirginiaPreps.com. It's the internet resource for high school sports throughout the state of Virginia and part of the Rivals.com network of sites powered by Yahoo Sports. So get yourself a subscription. It's less than $100 for the year. You won't be disappointed with all the high school sports info, and you can interact with all the fans across the state on our message boards. Back to the phones. We talked to Aaron, who I think wants to chat about the Warwick Raiders. How you doing, Aaron?
I'm doing great. How you doing today?
I'm hanging in there. Not too bad. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm curious about, I know Warwick Raiders had some decent success last year making it to the playoffs. I was curious if you think they'd be able to build on that for the upcoming season.
Sure. Appreciate the call, and thank you, Aaron. Hang tight, because I did get back Coach Corey Hairston's survey, I do believe, I did on the Warwick Raiders. He's always one of the best at giving us information, filling it out early and returning it. And they did have a good year last season. Got off to a great start under Coach Harrison. Had a senior-heavy group, so I do worry about some of the graduation losses there. But did go 6-4 in a regular season. Lost to Maury 48-14. Looks like this team he's very high on again. They only return on offensive side of the ball. Well, it looks like more than I thought. They return literally, it looks like the whole offensive line is back, which is going to be a real strength for them. A couple of skilled kids in Elijah Smith and Quali Delaney at wide receiver who've got some next-level potential. Did graduate the core of those skill position guys when it comes to running back and some of the guys handling the football. On the defensive side of the ball, looks like they're going to have a lot of speed, headlined by a couple of their rush ends, Marlon Wilson, Israel Wellens. On the back end, got some new pieces in the secondary to break in. They did lose Davon Mean, their hard-hitting linebacker, but they got a chance to be really good. And let's go through the schedule here for the Warwick Raiders, who make the move down from Class 5 to Class 4. And that could be good for Warwick should they make the playoffs again, because I'll be quite honest, I don't see a heavyweight in Region 4A with the exception of Lake Taylor. So I think the Titans may have, I wouldn't say a relatively smooth sailing path, but I don't see as many, dare I say, roadblocks as there was now with Lafayette moving down to Class 3 and a couple other realignment changes, although Hampton is welcomed into Class 4 too. Warwick's going to open up against the Denby Patriots at John B. Todd Stadium on August the 29th. That's a Thursday. It'll be here before you know it, 2 months from today. Then they're at home against Lake Taylor at Todd Stadium on September the 7th, 1 o'clock afternoon game. That's going to be a tough one to win. Quick turnaround 5 days later. If it wasn't such a quick turnaround, I like their chances better, but they go to Darling to play Hampton. They have got Woodside after that at Todd Stadium, so they got 3 tough ones in a row there. It's going to be hard to avoid a 1-3 start. Heritage after that to open up, or to finish up September, Then it softens up a little bit. They get Menchville to open up October, and then Kickinton, who they fare well at times against head-to-head on October the 10th. At Phoebus is going to be a really tough one for them on October the 18th. And then their last 2 games going to be at John B. Todd Stadium against Bethel and Gloucester, both winnable games, and both games that this past season I do believe they won, if I'm not mistaken, here against Bethel and Gloucester for Warwick. In fact, actually, they beat Bethel 20-13 and beat Gloucester 42-12. So you could be looking at right around the 500 mark for the Warwick Raiders this year, and I think that's going to bode well for their chances. And they might get a better seed, in fact, down in Class 4 than in Class 5. We're going to take another time out, and we're going to hear from the new Bethel head football coach, Creighton Incorminias. We'll keep the phone lines open at 757-687-9494. And right around the corner, too, we've got Rodney Taylor of the Menchville Monarchs right here on High School Sports Talk. It's your home for sports, and it's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1, presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Nope, no Coach Ed Young today. I think he might be in London. He's somewhere. Suffolk, London, Vegas, Charlotte. He could be maybe none of those places. Matt Hatfield is here, and Thomas Simmons as well. We'll be opening up the Trinity and Trilogy Tattoo Hotline again later on the show for you to have a chance and call in about your high school football team schedule. I want to hear from some of you Southside folks. We've covered the Peninsula and Bay Rivers quite a bit, but I ain't heard any Southside people call in yet. So let's not let the Peninsula and Bay Rivers just totally dominate you and show you that they're bigger football fans than you are. I mean, they might be, but man, oh man. We do now want to stick in the Peninsula because we got Rodney Taylor coming up from Menchville, and at this time we're going to hear from the new head football coach of the Bethel Bruins. We caught up with him at the Portsmouth team camp this week. That's Creighton Incorminias, and here's what he said about his squad and the outlook on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Okay, I'm here with Bethel's new head football coach, Creighton Incorminias. He's a former state champion wrestler, assistant coach, and player with the Bruins. Came from York, and coach entering year 1 at the helm at the alma mater, and getting some work here in the summer. How's the process going heading into the first head coaching situation?
It's a process. Doing a lot of teaching, a lot of learning. Everything is different for them. Trying to teach leadership and responsibility and those sort of things. So it's a slow process. We're trying to take our time with it as much as we possibly can.
As you embark on this journey, what's some of the things, advice you've gotten, such as from Coach Pereira, as you go into the Peninsula District, where we know about how storied it is. You know about it with the Hamptons, the Phoebuses, Woodside, very good. Certainly a tough road ahead.
Oh, yeah. Learn. learn from each process. Everything that happens for a reason. It never looks as bad as it is when you're going through it. Wait till you see the film. That's something Coach P constantly had to remind me. But it's a process, and all the coaches understand that. And, step by step.
Sure. Getting some good work in against schools from various parts of the area and the state, with Petersburg from Richmond, Granby and Wilson out of the Eastern District, Grassfield here as well. What are you wanting to see out of this group from this camp as you move forward into July and then the tough summer days as you get ready for the season opener against Maury?
It's about competing. They're going to make mistakes. We already know that because it's a new offense, it's a new defense. Things are being taught to them that are different. So it's just about competing. We just want to see them compete and progress. Each day take a step a little further and move towards it. So that's about it.
A few more lets you run. I appreciate your time. Let's highlight a few of the names to watch out for. I know you're still learning these guys as they are you, but I think it all begins with Isaiah Smith, an all-state tight end for you coming back.
Yes, we've been to several 7-on-7s, went to John Marshall, went out to York. He's had an excellent 7-on-7, him and Antoine Luster. Caleb Beard, the quarterback, is really showing a lot of great progress. Isaiah, I can't think of it. We got about 10 Isaiahs. Our slot, we call him Dez, has had an awesome, also 7-on-7, and Joel. So we have several guys who've really excelled, and they've really done. Now it's about putting on the gear and taking that next step.
Are you a guy that, in terms of, you guys all the time with new coaches, what's your philosophy offensively, defensively? Some will tell us about personnel. What's kind of your outlook in terms of what you want to run with this group, and how much is it dictated on the pieces you have?
Whatever they can learn. Learned a long time ago, especially with my father, and he was really huge. Don't put in stuff that they don't know. Go with what they're successful with, and then the other big thing is for us to be coaches. If they only know this amount, then let us make the tweaks and different things to put the bells and whistle on so that it's a little bit more than what it is. But whatever it is they can grasp and learn, that's what we'll do.
Gotcha. Last one, thank you for your time, and I'm sure we'll be catching up here before the season gets opening up in late August. I know it's early here, but do you have a sense of what this team could be good at, or an area that could be a strength for this team? What's kind of the thing as you kind of look at it early? You know what, we could maybe hang our hat on this, whether it be an aspect of the game, offense, defense, special teams. What's kind of your thought early on here?
Our philosophy is defense and specials, and that's what we're going to hang our hat on. Offense is going to take time to come and to do, but defense and specials, that's where we're looking to make the most leaps and bounds. With the kids we have, it should not be an issue. Defense keeps you in games. Special teams can make a huge difference whether you win or lose. So that's what we really hang our hat on and try to implement that from day one.
Sounds good. Well, a new era of Bethel football ushered in with Creighton Incorminias. Thank you so much. We'll be watching.
All right.
Really appreciate it.
So there you have it. That's Creighton Incorminias, the head football coach of the Bethel Bruins, who open up the 2019 campaign at home at Darling Stadium on August 31st. It's a Saturday at noon against the reigning Region Class 5 Region A champion Maury Commodores. So we'll see what's in store for them. Then they have Heritage the week after that. Before we go to break and bring in Rodney Taylor, I don't know if you saw this or not, Thomas, but Ryan Zimmerman's back in the lineup for the Washington Nationals. He, out of Virginia Beach's Kellum High School, got a hit yesterday against the Tigers. And the Nats are tearing it up in the NL East at the moment. They are on a tear. They're in third place now, aren't they? And they're above 500.
Everyone's still trying to catch Atlanta, though, in that division.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they're going to win the division, but they're back in the wild card chase. It was just about 3 weeks ago, everybody's talking about trading off the whole team. Would they get rid of even Scherzer? Now they're a game and a half out of the wild card. They've won 4 in a row, 8 of their last 10. So
I'll tell you what to watch in that division is the Marlins might care enough to somehow jump the Mets.
They're actually only 3.5 back. You're right. They're closer to the Mets than the Mets are to 500, and that's not a good sign for Mickey Callaway's future. Coming up next, we're going to talk about the future of the Menchville Monarchs in football with Rodney Taylor. He's going into year 1. I think he's at a car wash today, so we'll get his outlook and his background on the squad, and we'll go back to the phone lines as well later on here on High School Sports Talk up until noon right here on your home for sports throughout the entire state of Virginia. It's ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Welcome back to High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com here on this Saturday, the 29th of June. Matt Hatfield here with you on ESPN Radio 94.1. We have a special guest on the line. He is the new head football coach of the Menchville Monarchs as they usher in a new era. He comes from Heritage where he was previously an assistant coach. We say good morning and congrats on the new position to Rodney Taylor. Coach, how's the summer going for you?
Oh, man, it's amazing, man. We actually are out here right here presently having a car wash, man, trying to raise funds and just doing some team building activity out here. But it's going well, man. I definitely appreciate the call.
Oh, that's awesome. Real quickly, where's that car wash at? If anybody wants to come out and support the Monarchs, and how long is it going on till?
It's 10 to 2 right here on Warwick Boulevard, right beside the post office, and we are in the parking lot of Advanced Auto. It's 484 Warwick Boulevard.
There you have it, a little free plug there for the car wash, so you can go out and support the Menchville football this coming year. And Coach, let's dive into your background. I just mentioned you come from Heritage, so got a chance to soak it up from one of the, I guess, now longer tenured coaches in the Peninsula District, well-respected George Chubbs Massenburg, who played for the great Mike Smith at Hampton, and you saw the deep playoff appearances from Heritage. What'd you learn from him and take from that experience now that you can apply at Menchville?
I tell you what, man, my background has been primarily, man, I've been on the defense side of the ball. And the thing with Chubbs there, I call him Massenburg, he definitely gave me the window and the insight to the offensive side of the ball. More importantly, the blocking schemes on how to set things up and how to make things more fluid and more successful. So I definitely take that and we'll apply that to Monarch Nation here. So I'm definitely appreciative to that guy for giving me that most important part of wisdom about football on that side of the ball there.
As we introduce you to the audience and the fans out there, tell us more about your background, some of your playing days, college days, and early coaching days leading up to Menchville, in addition to your time at Heritage.
Born and raised in the Washington, D.C. area, played at Crosson High School. I was a starter at backer, at fullback. Definitely went to state championship, didn't win it in 92, lost it to Gatesburg High School. But from there, we went to Bowie State University, was a 4-year starter there. From that point, we went to George Mason University, was assistant defensive coordinator there, coached linebackers. From that point, we went to Bowie High School. I coached the fullbacks and the running backs and was a special teams coordinator for 2 years there. Then we moved from the area and came on down to the 757. Went to Heritage and stayed there for 9 years as the backers coach, assistant backers coach for the varsity program, and the head JV coach for the Heritage Junior varsity football team.
I imagine you wanted to be a head coach for a while, or had that in your mind that it could be something you'd consider and ponder there. When did you know this Menchville job was a job that you wanted, and what drew you to the position?
I think at the 9-year mark, Massenburg and I always joke, after 9 years, it's time to get out of the nest. You got to leave. He left Hampton after 9 years, so he asked me, what were my plans, what I was going to do, and I said, what happens after 9 years. We got to leave the nest and start our own. So when the opportunity presented itself over at Menchville, I knew they had a good foundation. Definitely thanks to our former coach Ray Savage for putting the foundation down there. Players, the parent support, the community, the atmosphere, the teachers, the administration, it just was a perfect fit. So we definitely had to jump on that and come on over here and finish the job out.
We're chatting with Rodney Taylor, the new head football coach of the Menchville Monarchs. He takes over for Ray Savage, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1, as Menchville looks to make some noise this coming season, moving down from Class 5 to Class 4 in Region A. And, Coach, as you take a look at this big picture here, at Heritage, you were there when the program was winless and had some struggles, and you walk into Menchville here, and they've had some guys come through there. I mean, David Macklin comes to mind, who's played in the National Football League, and the other sports at Menchville have done quite well, yet Menchville has not finished 500 since 1996. Is this a day-by-day, brick-by-brick situation for you, or can a quick fix happen there?
Well, I don't think it would be a quick fix. I think, I thank Coach Ray Savage for putting down a great foundation, because we definitely have some gems still here. It won't be a quick fix. It's a build. The foundation's already laid. We have to put up the walls and the roof and go ahead and start decorating the inside. So we're definitely under construction. But I think those days, well, it's not think, I believe and know that those days are over. The Monarch Nation will definitely will rise and show the PD, that we definitely can ball and compete very well.
And I remember watching a few of the games, either live or on Huddle, the last couple of years, and there were some good backs. I believe one of them might have been Gio Hales last year that shown some promise. Let's start on the offensive side of the ball. Who are some names we should keep an eye out for, and what's it looking like for you there on the offensive side?
Definitely Giovanni Hales is going to tote the rock for us and contribute heavily from that tailback position. Our quarterback, Brady Schwartz, he's definitely getting things together. We definitely have a couple linemen that we definitely are proud of, Ahmad Taylor, Braden Goggins. So we're getting there. Just piece by piece, the offense is definitely coming together. It's actually ahead of defense right now, and that's definitely a good positive thing to get that offense on schedule. Actually, it's ahead of schedule at this time.
Before we flip over to the defensive side of the ball, I know coaches are very cautious about giving away all the secrets and what they're going to run, but what should we look for? Spread, wing tee, what are kind of the system that we should expect for the Monarchs on offense this year?
Whatever can get the ball in the end zone.
So multiple?
No, it'll definitely be a hybrid, man. Once we get all the pieces together, everything looks good when you in shirts and helmets, what have you, but when we put the pads on and we see how physical we can be, how quick, how organized, how disciplined we are, then we can start getting a really good sense of purpose and understanding of what we're able to do. But if anyone needs insight into it, it's definitely 60-40 to the ground. So 60% running, 40% through the air.
Gotcha. Balanced, and you got to do what's best for the group in terms of getting the points on the board. Well, moving to the defensive side of the ball, I know a lot of schools fight the depth issues. Should we expect some of the O linemen to double in the D line, and how the linebackers and D backs looking as well?
Well, definitely, Coach Dom Smith, he definitely has the secondary looking really well. Right now, we're looking like we may have to two-platoon a little bit for consistency or what have you, but again, the numbers continue to increase, so we're definitely we're looking if we can definitely keep a set of D linemen fresh on the defensive side of the ball, and I have the O linemen just concentrate on that. I think that will definitely help us, and it's looking good. It's definitely looking like we will be able to compete well in regards to our depth or what have you.
Couple more minutes here with Rodney Taylor, the new head football coach of the Menchville Monarchs, our guest here on High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. And coaches, I know, always like to find that hidden gem or that unsung player, someone that's really working hard in the off season. You got someone that you'd like to, or it could be a couple of guys that have really stood out to you here as you've taken over, may have some next level potential. They could be a young kid, they could be a rising senior that you really want to just give credit to for how hard they've been working since you took over.
Oh man, definitely one of my guys, man, Cole Richardson, man. He's a 6'2", about 190-pound defensive end, outside linebacker, man. This guy has an amazing work ethic, man, and motor. We're definitely watching this guy. He's I think he carries about a 4.1 GPA, so that kid is definitely going to be something special. Ahmad Taylor, he's out here, about 6'3", 260-pound. DN offensive tackle. I think he's going to be a rising junior or what have you. We definitely have some pieces to the puzzle. We got a transfer coming from New Mexico, Thomas Jones. Outstanding receiver DB. And I mean outstanding, I'm talking about take the top off the defense type speed. So we definitely have some pieces, man. The Monarch Nation will definitely be proud of what we put on the field this year.
That's awesome to hear. And I'm transitioning down from Class 4. You're familiar with it from coming from Heritage, and I see your first game is against Granby to open up the season. They have a new head coach, and Larry Archie, who will be hearing a little bit from some sound we had at the Portsmouth team camp.
You got to be kidding me. My gosh. Coach Archie was my offensive coordinator at Bowie State University.
Was he really?
Wow. That is amazing.
That's your first game.
My gosh. What an amazing gift. Oh, my gosh, man. That is awesome, man. That is awesome.
Well, you can always go with the my normal co-host, Coach Ed Young from Nansemond River, the basketball coach, always says win or buy. So you can always tell Coach Archie the winner is buys. So, but give me your thought on as you get prepared for that game, and then also your two scrimmages. You got two scrimmages lined up for the late August?
Yes, sir. It's, the first one's against Great Bridge down in Chesapeake. The next one is Hickory down in Chesapeake. So we definitely going to travel so we can learn how to make sure we travel well. So we make sure we're nice and organized and prepared. And just, get the boys out of the city and, on the other side of the water there just to, see how they react and how they compete and whatnot. But I tell you, man, going against Coach Archie, y'all opening up, that's gonna be awesome because I already know that offense that he brings from IC Norcom. I'm already understanding and got an eye in regards to what he's going to try to do.
Yeah, indeed, and he's always someone that many of the coaches and people around the area speak highly of, just a quality person he is, as well as what he's done as a coach.
Most definitely.
So that should be fun coming up for anybody who wants to see that. I guess it's the teacher versus the pupil coming up on August the 30th. Yes. Menchville against Granby. It'll be at Hatfield in Norfolk on Friday, August the 30th.
That's going to be amazing. Amazing. I can't wait.
Well, Coach, we can't wait to see what's in store for you and the Monarch Nation out there at Menchville High School in Newport News. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, the car wash, and I'm sure we'll be in touch.
Yes, sir. Thank you so very much.
Our pleasure. Yes, sir.
And much blessings to the Monarch Nation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Coach. We wish you all the best, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, sir.
That's Rodney Taylor, the head football coach of the Menchville Monarchs, with us here on High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1. How neat is that? He goes up against his former coach in game one. I think he was maybe more surprised than I was hearing that he's got Larry Archie and the Granby Comets in game one from his days at Bowie State. How about that? So we'll actually hopefully be squeezing in some sound from Larry Archie coming up in a bit. But next up, we're going to hear from Arthur Moats. He was on the 757 at 6 a couple of Mondays ago with yours truly and the coach Ed Young. We'll open up the phone lines again here on High School Sports Talk. Don't you go anywhere because it's ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
We have a special guest with us on the line. Right out of the 757, he played and starred at Churchland High School in Portsmouth, then went on to James Madison University, was a captain for the Dukes of JMU, and then played for nearly a decade in the National Football League, a sixth-round pick in 2010 by the Buffalo Bills, also played for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just announced his retirement last week. We're joined by the guy they say you don't cross the Moats, but we're crossing him today. Arthur Moats with us here on ESPN Radio 94.1. How you doing, my friend?
Man, I'm doing well. It's always good to get back on the line with you, man. It's like family. Back home, man, love my 757 people.
Well, we appreciate that. It's been a long time. I mean, I tell you what, I remember the days when you were a high school wrestling, football, and basketball standout, a multi-sport star at Churchland High School. And I want to know, how's retired life treating you now?
Man, so far so good. Been able to enjoy a lot more of the family time of lately, which is definitely was a key factor in this decision. But then also, man, being able to dive in some of this media stuff as well, man, having a blast, just looking into the media broadcasting field, seeing what that's like on a full-time basis right now.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little bit later on here, and then our always fun rapid fire at the end of the segment. But I want to know, looking back at it now, you got to play professional football for almost a decade for a couple of different franchises, great fan bases too, very passionate with the Bills and the Steelers. Did that dream you had growing up here in the 757 and attending Churchland High School before you got to JMU, did it meet or exceed your expectations?
Oh, man, this exceeded every expectation I could have ever dreamed for. Back then, man, I don't think I was dreaming big enough. I think, growing up, you just dream about hearing your name called, being drafted. And then after being drafted, you dream about just coming out the tunnel, making a play, fans going crazy. But never would I've ever imagined that I would have been able to have the success that I had at this level. Also a career that spanned almost, like you said, a decade. And then just to add into the platform, the differences I was able to make in both, the Buffalo community and the Pittsburgh community, as well as the 757 community. I mean, it was just, like I said, more than I could have ever dreamed or imagined.
Well, and someone that's done a lot off the field as well. You were the Steelers' Walter Payton Man of the Year in 2016 for all the charitable works you and your family have done within the city of Pittsburgh. But I want to know, every athlete has that turning point moment in their life or even their sports career. For you, did you have it in high school, college, or pro? What was kind of that, awakening moment for you that really spurred on your career or had an impact in your life?
Man, there was a couple of things, actually. First, when I think of high school, being named to the All-Tide Water team, that was the biggest deal for me growing up. I remember, when you make All-Tide Water, you get your picture in the paper. And for me, that was my first time seeing my face actually in there. And that was always like a big thing as far as me saying, like, okay, I'm good enough. I know I could play at the next level. And then I remember every off season, they would do the top 25 rankings of the players coming out, getting ready for college and stuff. And I remember being number 25 on one of the lists, and I was just like, yo, I made the top 25 list. I got a little write-up on me. Like, those were moments where I was just like, okay, I really can do this. And then when I get to college, fast forward to my junior year, having a really good junior year, but then having a really good junior pro day. And just the response I was getting from the NFL scouts then, and then you fast forward to being the Buck Buchanan Award winner my senior year, that's really when it started to click like, oh, man, I really have a chance to, do something special and make it to the next level. So those are definitely, like, key moments as far as validating myself to let me know that I can play at this level for a long time.
Well, and for those who don't know, there were some pretty tough dudes in your class of, was it 2006 when you came out?
Yes, dude. Percy Harvin, Chris Bell, Cam Chancellor. Oh, it was crazy.
Yeah, that was a great list. And if I recall, us and a lot of the football recruiting us, we'll take, I guess, blame for it at Rivals in Virginia Preps. We all had missed on you and Cam Chancellor. I want to say you were like 28th or 29th. Where were you? You remember?
No. So literally, I was the number 25th guy. I'll never forget it because I was the last spot to get a write-up.
Okay.
And everybody after that just got their names. And I remember saying, like, geez, I barely made the list. But then you look at the thing, and it's like, I mean, you got the Ronald and Donnell Brown, the twins out of Hickory, who actually ended up being my teammates up at JMU. Like you said, just a ton of other guys from the area. You're just like, wow, this is crazy when you look at the amount of talent that's in this area that were going to colleges. And at the time, you couldn't fault it because, I mean, these dudes were going to big-time schools, NC States, MAC schools, ACC schools. It didn't matter. Like, they were going somewhere D1.
Yeah, that's incredible. I want to know, your father is a former Marine, and is he still a current high school math teacher?
Yes, he is. My father served 13 years in the Marines, always, Semper Fi for all my Marines out there. But, he's still teaching math. He recently moved up to Maryland. He was teaching at Norfolk High School for the past, 4 years? Yeah, but just recently moved up to Maryland right now.
Okay, what kind of influence has he had on your life?
Oh, man, huge influence, man. When we talk about just that Marine mindset, that understanding that no matter what the situation is, no matter how much adversity you're facing, you're always going to come out on top because you're built that way. You're built to overcome anything, any obstacle, and just that positive mindset to be able to reinforce it regardless of the situation. That was huge as far as my development, especially in my adolescence years. But then also when you deal with the adversity that's associated with playing college football and playing in the NFL, all of those core things that I learned early on from him carried me through all of this.
Chatting with Arthur Moats, the former NFL linebacker with the Pittsburgh Steelers and Buffalo Bills out of JMU and Churchland High School. Our guest here on the 757 at 6 on ESPN Radio 94.1. 16 and a half sacks and 202 combined tackles with the Bills and the Steelers in 8 years. And Arthur, for you, what coach, if you give me multiple coaches or one coach, really had a big impact in your development and really just had you like to give a lot of praise and credit to for your success?
Yeah, man. So, I was blessed to have a ton of awesome coaches that I was able to interact with from high school, college, even in the NFL. And, I could literally just name down the list because each one of them played a special role as far as impacting me. But if we talked about, like, the most impactful ones, I would have to say it was Coach Thomas. And it was more so because not only did he impact me on the field, but he impacted me off the field. Like, on the field, he helped me as far as understanding the film study aspect, right? I would always watch film with a defensive mindset, how I want to attack somebody, how this blitz is going to work or this coverage is going to work, this rush move is going to work. But he opened my eyes to say, hey, look at it from the offense's perspective and understand the weaknesses of the defense, understand the flaws schematically and where teams might try to attack you at. So that way you know how to improve that and be aware of the certain situations and scenarios. So that helped me grow immensely as a player. But then when we take it to the off-the-field standpoint, just talking about, hey, be more, don't just focus solely on being a great football player. Make sure that you continue to be a great husband, a great father, a great community man, because so many people get tied up and just wanting to be great at football that they sometimes neglect the other things. So he was always making sure that I understood the importance of balancing that out, making sure that I was still making my family and the community a priority.
And, of course, Mike Tomlin, also a 757 guy out of Newport News, Denby High School, William and Mary. What's the reputation around the league, the NFL, from guys that have heard about this 757 area code? Does it have a great reputation? Is it talked about a lot?
Oh, absolutely. It's funny. anytime you say you're from Virginia, the guys automatically like, 757? And you're like, absolutely. Anybody that's not from the 757, they look at them like, I don't know how good you are. But like you said, man, reputation-wise, I feel like because there's so much talent professionally, not just in the NFL, but league-wide, basketball, track, obviously with LaShawn Merritt, that I think it's to the point now that you're expecting to hear guys from the 757 the same way you hear guys from Florida or guys from Texas or guys from California. Anybody that's from Virginia, like, they got to be from the 757. And it's a great thing because they're just showing that the legacy is continuing. And now when you look at the next wave of guys from the 757, it's their turn to just continue making their mark, continue to keep that factory of talent coming out because there's so much talent in the Tidewater area.
Before I bring in my Saturday morning cohort, the coach Ed Younger wants to say hello to you, and we also do rapid fire. Arthur, I want to know, most people bring this up to you, I'm sure, regularly when you do interviews or they see you about that hit, and that hit being on Brett Favre that ended the consecutive start streak at 297 games. Are you content looking back at it for being known by many for that play, snapping Favre's streak, or would you rather be known for something else?
Hey, for me, man, I don't have any issue with it. It was a clean hit, and it was a legendary play versus a legendary person. When you think about Brett Favre, you think about that streak spanning over 20 years. You think about him being a Hall of Famer. You think about all the Hall of Famers that have hit him, have sacked him, have done all these things to him. But it was my hit was the one that ultimately, kept him out and broke that streak. So for me, man, when we talk about the play, I'm always going to be proud of it. I'm never going to balk at it or wish that people didn't remember me for that. But at the same time, I feel that I'm just as known for my community work as well in both Buffalo and in Pittsburgh, which I think is one of the things that I'm really most proud of because it showed that not only was I doing it on the field, but I was also bringing it on a high level off the field as well.
We're chatting with former NFL linebacker Arthur Moats out of Churchland High School in Portsmouth and James Madison University. Our guest here on the 757 at 6 on ESPN Radio 94.1. Matt Hatfield here. And the coach, Ed Young, also wanting to say hello to Arthur. Here you go, Coach.
Arthur, my main hype guy.
Hey, how are you doing?
Man, I got so many questions. I didn't listen to the interview on the way in because I got stuck in traffic. And the only reason I didn't listen earlier, because Matt always gets me for not being on radio, my significant other was on the phone, and I had her through the car phone.
Well, he can give you plenty of potential marriage advice or stuff because Arthur's,
Well, Arthur, I'm planning on putting a ring on it this summer and getting married next summer.
Hey, my man. Well, early congratulations. And look, I want to get an invite. I want to show up to the wedding. I can
wow.
Be the best man. Put me in. I got you. We can wear matching touches. I give a great wedding speech for starting out there.
Oh, look at that. He could be at the wedding. That'd be
awesome.
I'll
tell you what, I would, hey, don't laugh. I wouldn't mind. I could see you leading us out of the tunnel.
That's all I'm saying, man. I would give you the best pregame speech. You would be fired up, ready to get married, and ready to have an awesome life.
Arthur, we got to make this happen because I have something else I want to get started with you. But we got to make this happen. We get this thing broadcasted. It could be a real fun shindig, couldn't it?
Hey, absolutely.
Man, I would love to. Hey, a couple things. Number one, did you ever get Favre to sign the photo of you knocking him out?
No. The one thing, to this day, he still hasn't talked to me. I've reached out to him.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he's on Twitter now. I've reached out to him on Twitter. No response. I've tried the agent route. Like, hey, have my agent hit up his agent. No response. So I'm thinking I'm going to bump into him one of these times now that we're on the retirement circuit together. And then I'm just going to have to hey, man, da-da-da-da. Oh, someone wanted me to sign it. Keep signing this, da-da-da-da. And just not really let him know what's going on and do it kind of that way. Because right now, he's anti me.
Or you're going to have to go on the bad Moat side and just hit him again somewhere and say, now you remember me.
All right, you want some of this?
Now, hey, the second thing, since I didn't hear the answer, why are we calling you former NFL player? Is it injury? What happened?
No, man. So for me, man, I officially retired, and it was no injury. It was nothing dealing with play. Because honestly, I felt like I could still play, another 2 to 3 more years.
Oh, what the hell? Did you turn 49, 52?
No, well, actually, I just turned 31. Coming up the 9th year. Yeah, I know. But this is my biggest thing, right? Like I said, it was never a play issue, but for me, the day-to-day grind is what I just did not want to.
I respect
didn't want to continue with. And for me, I was like, I love the game too much to cheat it. So when we talk about the day-to-day grind, the 6 a.m. workouts, the film studies, the nutrition, the being with my family even more, all of those things, I was just like, I don't have the same passion for that level of detail that it's going to take and that level of sacrifice that it would take for me to continue on at the level that I expect of myself,
Hey, that's tremendous. I applaud you. I respect you. And that's perfect because not many guys can leave the game at your age and with your mindset. A lot of guys, it's the opposite. They hang on
Yeah.
And then it's like, that's not good to look at, and it takes away.
The product looks bad. It takes away from their legacy. It takes away from what they did on the field. And for me, I said, man, I felt like I was one of the guys who played the game the right way, played the game with the passion, and didn't cheat. I wasn't just a guy who wanted to be a star. I enjoyed being a professional. And the difference between the two is the star just wants to come out there on Sundays, get applauded, shake hands, kiss babies, sign autographs. But they don't want to put in that day-to-day work, the day-to-day stuff that you got to do, the cold tub, hot tubs, the workouts, like I said, the countless hours in the film room. But, see, that's what I used to love as far as being the professional. Because as a professional, that's what you're addicted to. That's what makes you be successful. But for me, I was like, at this stage, I don't have that same drive to do those things day in and day out. And like I said, I love the game way too much to cheat it.
And the bottom line is, if the Raiders offered you $15 million to be a third down specialist, you would turn that down too. So I get it.
Absolutely. And it's the funny thing.
$20 million.
I was fortunate enough to be able to make a good amount of money. More money than I had ever dreamed of making in my life, more money than I've ever seen in my life. And I was making sure I was smart while I had it, so that way I could make this decision without the finances having to wait on me. So, yes, I'm good. I can tell you that, yeah. Now, if they offer me $20 million to do more, that's different.
I'll tell you what.
$20 million to be the water boy, I decide that's different.
Okay, so around $20 million, you might start thinking a little bit.
I will ponder on it. But like I said, it would have to be like, all right, I give out 4 cups of water, not 5. You know what I mean? 5 is like, that's too much.
And the X factor in all this is, you got to see if your wife wants you around more and more. That might be the whole indicator.
That's what I'm a little nervous about, right? Like, you got to think over the past 9 years, it's been, I'm on the grind, I'm working out, we spend the time together, but not every day. So it's going to be interesting, man. I'm going to see how good Netflix is because, that's what we spend a lot of time watching right now.
She may call a lot of teams and say you're available.
A couple more minutes here with Arthur Moats, the former NFL linebacker with the Bills and Steelers out of Churchland High in Portsmouth, and James Madison University with us on the 757 at 6 on ESPN Radio 94.1. Now that you're out of the league, anything you'd like to see changed or addressed in the league?
I think that they can continue to work on the player safety initiative, but making sure that it's not just solely slanted towards the offensive players, because there's plenty of defenders that are jeopardizing their health trying to follow these rules in terms of the target zones when they're tackling people, or even the cut blocks that they're being exposed to and things like that. I think that is becoming really slanted towards offensive players, and I think in that aspect I would like to see that changed. But outside of those things, I think that a lot of the stuff will be addressed with this upcoming, CBA agreement and things like that, just because when you think about the way the power structure is set up from a disciplinary standpoint, some of those things I would like to see changed as well, just so it could be a lot more balance in the situation versus one person being, the end-all, be-all with those decisions.
Arthur, I got to ask you, and I know you're going to take some time, and because you won't feel you're retired until about the middle next season when you're sitting back on the lounge chair watching the games and saying, man, he can't rush the edge. He can't protect the edge. I got to come back. But let me ask you this, down the road, with your energy, enthusiasm, and what you've been through and how you've reflected on other players, any idea of coaching maybe down the road at some level?
Well, see, that's the funny thing. I actually don't want to coach for the simple fact the amount of time that you spend as a player, I always felt you spend even more time as a coach.
Good point.
And for me having like younger children and stuff, I felt like I've already missed on so much throughout this career that I don't want to add to that doing the coaching route. But the opposite is this. I would love to hop into, like I said, the media field, the media broadcasting, and share my knowledge as well through that avenue and share my passion for the game through that avenue. Also player development as well, just because I love the fact that the player development coach being able to impact players' lives directly, from a whole life standpoint, not just on the field, but off it as well. So those are some of the things I'll be looking into.
Well, you are always welcome to be a weekly or monthly guest here, analyst.
He don't want to be guest. He wants our job. You didn't hear him?
Well, he can do that too. He can take your job any moment with you being tardy.
We're a team, man. We're a team.
Yeah, he can join the 757 at 16 with us here.
We'll be here in the little studios here in Greenwich, but he's going to be on NFL Today, HBO. You watch.
But Arthur, before we let you run, we thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be getting you back on here again soon down the road. You ready to play some rapid fire with us?
Absolutely, man. I look forward to this.
All right, here we go. Hard hitting, think fast here. Questions for Arthur Moats. Best movie you've seen in the past year is?
Oh, Avengers Endgame.
Avengers Endgame.
No.
I was able to dodge that from my dad, who I'm just not really into it myself, but everybody else loves it. It's just a little lengthy for me at 3 hours.
Man, the Titanic was lengthy too. That was an awesome movie.
It was. I don't have attention span. That's the problem. See, I'm one of those hyperactive people. All right, best TV show in the last year that you've seen?
Chernobyl.
Chernobyl. Okay. Fish, chicken, or steak?
I'm going to go steak.
All right. I thought you might say all three.
Ribeye. Can't go wrong with the ribeye, man.
All right. Throw out the first pitch at a baseball game or judge a slam dunk contest?
Oh, first pitch. Put me in Yankee Stadium, first pitch.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Ed's a Yankee fan, too. I'm in trouble here. All right. We got three more for you. NFL teammate that you had who you felt was the most underappreciated?
Oh, I would say Fred Jackson. Fred Jackson up in Buffalo, running back.
Yeah.
And he was there for a while, played with Marshawn Lynch, C.J. Spiller, but he was always viewed as the other guy, you know?
Yeah. He was a very good vet, and you're right with both of those backs there. All right, last two for you. Last year you told me, without a doubt, Adrian Peterson was the toughest guy to tackle. Who was the fastest guy you played against?
Oh, man. Tyreek Hill was crazy fast, but then also Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson with that Philly Dream Team where it was him, Mike Vick, Shea McCoy. Yeah, that dude was lightning.
All right. Now, I see there's going to be some Let's Play Some Dodgeball with Santonio Holmes and the Long Foundation and Arthur Moats, the Ronald McDonald House Charities coming up on June the 28th. You can visit, I see, yagagolf.com for more details. So I want to know, 757 all-time dodgeball tournament of celebs. You can't pick yourself. Who you going with to win the 757 all-time dodgeball tournament?
Oh, man. Who would I pick? Jeez, that's the question, right? Who would I pick?
Yeah, we have to get this together too. By the way, we got to throw one here.
Well, give me Vic because the left hand throw is going to be insane and the velocity coming off of it out of control. AI because his athletic ability, he's going to shake and juke. Give me Kansas City Enforcer. You know, I got to have an enforcer. Plus, we came out the same year. That's my guy.
Who's that?
Cam Chancellor.
All right.
Yeah. We got to have an enforcer, right? He's band. That's what he does. Oh man, let me think. Who else? Jeez.
That's a pretty good three right there with Vic, Iverson, and Cam. Yeah, you can't go wrong with that.
Man, matter of fact, give me young Dorian Finney-Smith.
Ooh, Dodo. Okay.
Absolutely. He got the athletic gene. You know, he comes from a long family of ballers, too. You know, obviously with his older brother, Big Ben, you know, all those guys. So, yeah, I like him because I was like, running a little too tall. Running back a little too tall.
Right.
I don't want that big of a target. Let me think. Who else would I bring on this?
That's a good four. You give us one more, and I'll be
right?
5. That should be good. Yeah.
And you know what? Oh, man. Jeez.
Eli Harold.
Let me get...
Ed says Eli Harold. That's not a bad
Eli
one.
Harold out there. There's Jalen Holmes.
Eli is nice. No. This is what I want to do. I want to go Lansdowne Percy Harvin. Not Florida Percy Harvin.
Okay.
I like Lansdowne Percy Harvin before the migraines, before the other injuries and stuff. Give me that Percy.
All right. Okay. That's a good group.
Five touchdowns in the game, Percy. That one. That's the one.
Well, I tell you what, Arthur, we're going to throw together some kind of dodgeball tournament down here after Ed Young's wedding, which we hope you will be at. And
or during the wedding.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Arthur, for coming by. You're always welcome to come on the show anytime and enjoy retirement life, all right?
Hey, man, I definitely appreciate you. Always good talking with you guys, man.
You got it.
Hey,
Arthur
wish you
Moats.
the best, Arthur.
Thank you.
Arthur Moats, our guest here on the 757 at 6 out of Churchland High and JMU here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Now back to high school sports talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Presented by VirginiaPreps.com. Here's Matt Hatfield and Coach Ed Young.
Oh, you hear that baseball music because we not only have, Thomas, we got the Yankees and the Red Sox from London. We got the Tides, I think, coming up as well. You got baseball all day long right here on ESPN Radio 94.1. Matt Hatfield here, Thomas Simmons as well. No Coach Ed Young today. Well, you never know. You got to listen to the very end. You might hear him. You never know. But right now, what you're going to hear, and you heard him last segment with Arthur Moats when we had him on the 757 at 6 out of Churchland High. And Jim, you always great to talk with Arthur. Right now, you're going to hear Larry Archie, the new head football coach of the Granby Comets in Norfolk. We caught up with him at the Portsmouth team camp, and here's what he had to tell us on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, I'm here with the new head football coach of the Granby Comets, Larry Archie. You remember him from being at Norcom and a lot of playoff appearances, coach, as you're getting your team ready for the 2019 campaign here at the Portsmouth team camp. How is the process going? It's acclimation. You getting used to the kids, them getting used to you and your voice over at Granby High.
Well, the process is going. We're getting better each day. The kids have really bought into some of the things that we're doing now. I think them to continue to come and work with, we can only get better.
Mm-hmm. You come out here, is it just a matter of getting competition? You see some other quality schools. You got Grassfield here. Petersburg has made the Class 3 playoffs. You're used to them from your Norcom days. Bethel with a new coach, as well as Wilson out here. What's kind of the thing you're trying to accomplish as you move into July?
Well, I think the biggest thing in a camp like this helps you understand what you have up front. You know, the linemen getting to bang around a little bit. The 7-on-7 times are pretty much over for us because you win it up front. So we want to give our kids a chance to be in some physical competition, competitive nature, and see who will hunt. And I've been pretty pleased with what we've done so far.
Breaking in a new quarterback, I know he was playing running back previously, the kid out here today, and had a couple nice runs for you out here.
Yeah, he's a pretty good athlete. He's playing quarterback probably more than he has in the past, but he's picking up the offense. He's coming from track, so he's only been here like 6 days. So I think I'm impressed with him. We have some things to work on, teaching a new offense and a new defense, but the kids are receptive, and it's going pretty good.
A lot of coaching changes in the area, and there's been some that have come from assistants moving up. You go from another school in the district in Norcom to Granby, so you've seen them before. Take me through kind of your idea of philosophy as you go into a new school here, what you want to do. Is it pretty much the same as what you did at Northam?
Yes, it's exactly the same. It's a recipe that works. Kids that buy into what you're doing, that are committed and dedicated, come every day and work to get better and play together.
Further along right now, offensively or defensively? I know it's just early summer here. You haven't gotten into full-blown mode where you get the scrimmages, but where do you think you're further along now?
I would say defensively, we're still getting to know the kids, and a camp like this helps us understand there may be a kid that's just been out of position. So we're trying to move some guys around and find where they fit what we do best.
I know there's a lot of new starters and underclassmen getting their feet wet out here, but any couple of leaders that have kind of emerged?
Yes, Julius Franks is our center. He's been a 2 or 3 year starter here. He's shown a lot of leadership and grit. He's playing both sides of the ball for us. Ershaw Parker has done well. He's a quarterback now, playing defensive back as well. So those are a couple of guys right now that have shown up and done pretty well for us.
Got a number of two-way guys. I know that's always a concern for coaches, the depth thing. Is that something that even though year one you're comfortable with, you want your best guys on the field, they got to go both ways, they go both ways?
We're always looking for quality depth. Right now our numbers aren't where they should be. But we have enough guys that if we have to play them both ways, we will. But we're always looking for a strong two that can give them a playoff here there.
Last two, thank you for your time. Where is this team potentially going to be the strongest at? Is there a spot or a unit that could be the
I think
your hat
defensively we'll be pretty good. I think our secondary will be really good. So the secondary.
A lot of guys back there with potential. Good deal.
Yes.
Lastly, your two scrimmages are going to be before you get the season?
Petersburg and First Columbia.
Okay, so Class 3, Class 6, you jump into this here, and you're now Class 5, going to be moving down from Class 6. So give me your thought on the Eastern District, too, where there's a lot of contenders. Your old school, Lake Taylor, Hank Sawyer quite well. Moore's very good. It's a district that's gotten better over the years in football.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be about the same. You'll have Lake Taylor, I would say Maury and Norfolk at the top. But on any given night in the district, anybody can beat you. Booker T is always strong. Norview, Coach Cotton is coming back. So I think, you have to play every Friday night or you get beat.
Coach Archie in the comments, get ready for 2019. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
All right, buddy. Appreciate
it. You bet.
That was Larry Archie, new head football coach at Granby. He previously coached at Norcom. It's High School Sports Talk presented by VirginiaPreps.com and Larry King Law. Engineer and accident, you call 757-INJURED for Larry King. And real quickly, Granby's schedule before we turn over to Lake Taylor and Coach Hank Sawyer, the elder statesman of the Eastern District, if you will. They open up, as you heard earlier, with Rodney Taylor against Menchville at Powhatan Field on the 30th of August, the day before Old Dominion's new stadium opens up against Norfolk State. Then Granby takes on Booker T. Washington at BTW. They're at Norview. Then they get the bye week at Churchland on the 27th of September. So 3 straight road games essentially there. Then October, it softens up a bit. They open up against Wilson, new coach there in Anton Kennedy. Kempsville, new coach in Darrell Cherry on October the 11th. An out-of-district game for a beach school against an Eastern District school. A Saturday 1 o'clock game at Norcom. Home against Lake Taylor, at Thomasdale, and home against Maury. That is a tough 4-game stretch to finish. At Norcom, Lake Taylor, at Dale, home against Maury. So Granby, listen, they better make sure that if they want to make the playoffs, they better make sure the record's good by October 19th because I have a hard time seeing one of those last 4. But I think Larry Archie will get things turned around over there and get them back in contention. Maybe not this year, but in a couple of years. A team that's always in contention, Lake Taylor under Coach Hank Sawyer. Here's what he told us yesterday over at Bayside as they gear up for another deep playoff run, they hope, on ESPN Radio 94.1.
All right, I'm here with Lake Taylor head football coach Hank Sawyer as the month of June's coming to a close and the dead period coming up. But, Coach, getting some good work in here at a 7-on-7 at Bayside along with the Marlins, Lakeland, and Wilson High School out of your district. What did you see from your guys as you're progressing into the season?
We threw the ball around real well. They ran real well, played defense real well.
7-on-7, and we want to get them in condition, and was able to do this. And the day first starts for about a week, and so it gives the kids some competition before that starts. And I'm pleased. A couple of kids on that. Malik Newton's on the baseball tour, so a few kids on here, but I expect that. But he was with us Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday getting work, so now he's gonna go knock some balls out of the park.
And he's gotten some offers here lately from Clemson and Purdue.
Yeah.
Just you've had a lot of great running backs. He's got a chance to be maybe the best ever.
Yeah, especially stat-wise, and he's a mean kid. He's a linebacker, inside linebacker, and a running back, and they both complement each side of the ball. And have some other kids, Akeem Wright, that's really, really good. And
maybe the most underappreciated top-level defensive player in the area.
Well, he's going to win some games for us and do some things, and he reminds me he may get recruited later like a Marvin Mitchell did that ended up in Tennessee, that ended up with the New Orleans Saints. He's that type of kid. College coaches, for whatever reason, they're not doing their homework, and that's on them.
He was Defensive Player of the Year last year, right? In your region?
Exactly, right. So that's on them, and I see why some of them move around to different colleges because, Keem doesn't have a Twitter page and that type of thing, so he's not a rah-rah guy. He's an old-fashioned thrown-back football player.
Your quarterback, Jeff Foster, has got experience now. He's throwing the ball pretty good out here. He's still got room for improvement, but he's throwing the ball pretty well.
Yes, he is. And, sometimes sometimes 7-on-7, that's almost like throw to your buddy sometimes. And so I try to not get too upset when they do that. But I'm really looking for him to read defenses and read people. And he can run the ball as well, so it makes him a real dual threat kid for us.
I was coming to one of your assistant coaches that a guy that I think has improved a lot because last year he was unknown was Raylan Manleyfree in the secondary. You're counting some of those new DBs.
Raylan's, he's back in the secondary. He's a tall defensive back. Pierre Roster and Kevion Whitmore. And of course, Jeff plays in the secondary. 4 of my defensive backs are all 6 foot, so that helps with people want to go up and play jump ball with us.
A couple more for let you run. Last year, getting to the state championship and being so close to it, Javon Harvey goes out in that game, and now he's going to Old Dominion. Have you seen a renewed sense of, you guys are always hungry and passionate, but the guys coming back from that team?
Yes, especially in the weight room. We're stronger, and that may be hard for some people to believe, but we're actually stronger this year than we were last year going into the season. My offensive line is a little more athletic, a little faster, and they maybe not be as big, but big ain't better. I don't care what you weigh, I'm going to play you. And so I like the speed of the offensive line. And you throw in a Malik Newton, a Tyreek Edwards, Jeff Foster, and there's some good things.
And lastly, what you've done this summer here, going down to Clemson, South Carolina, building that camaraderie with your guys here, just a couple of select 7-on-7 events. How much is that helping you for your schedule, which has Phoebus right out of the gate and a lot of tough games on the road?
Well, we're bonding, that type of thing when we go away. We're getting to know each other. Anytime you put team feeling and brotherhood into a program, the results are going to be phenomenal, and that's what we're looking for.
Thanks so much. Look forward to seeing the Titans this year.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
You bet.
That was Hank Sawyer, head football coach of the Lake Taylor Titans. They've been to 4 state championships, winning a couple. It's ESPN Radio 94.1 High School Sports Talk. Their first 3 games, by the way, on the road. They're at Phoebus, at Darling Stadium, August 31st, 4 o'clock, part of that doubleheader. At Warwick, which is at Todd Stadium on September the 7th, the very next Saturday at 1 o'clock. Then at Maury, that's a showdown game, September the 13th on a Friday. Woodrow Wilson comes to Lake Taylor in their home opener September 20th. Then the following Saturday, the 28th, 1 o'clock game at Booker T. Washington. October 4th at Verona, who's a Class 5 school, always competitive under Stu Brown. Up there are the Blue Devils. Then you've got October 11th, Norcom comes to Lake Taylor. That's a game the Titans are circling. New coach in Robert Jackson at Norcom now, who's well-respected. Has done a lot of great things over his coaching career, going back to his days at Salem and Bayside and the Beach. And remember, Norcom beat Lake Taylor last year during the regular season, a shocker on a Saturday in Portsmouth. Lake Taylor is at home against Churchland on the 18th of October. At Granby, which is at Powhatan, October 25th, a bye week, and then their home regular season finale on November the 8th against the Pilots. Could be another special year for Lake Taylor. Would not rule out 10-0, but they've also got a couple of games that could turn them into, say, even if they're not careful, say an 8-2 type football team. So we shall see what happens for the Titans, who figure to be one of the best around yet again. Take a timeout. We'll hear from John Watt of Bayside. Might squeeze in Marcus Farabee of Indian River as well. Phone lines are open at 757-687-9494. Anything you want to talk about in the world of sports, we'll go through your high school football team schedule too, right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Recapping another busy week of prep sports, it's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Brought to you by Larry King Law, Engineer and Action. You call 757-INJURED and VirginiaPreps.com, your internet resource for high school sports throughout the state of Virginia, part of the Rivals.com network powered by Yahoo Sports. Matt Hatfield here. No Coach Ed Young, who is on assignment. Thomas Simmons is here, though. And we're now going to hear from, we've heard from various coaches so far. Hank Sawyer of Lake Taylor, Larry Archie of the Granby Comets, formerly Norcom's Greyhounds. You heard from Rodney Taylor live from Menchville, and New Bethel football coach Creighton Incorminias. We now hear from the head football coach of the Bayside Marlins. They had a 7-on-7 yesterday, and here's what John White told us about his squad to watch out for in Virginia Beach on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Right here with Bayside head football coach John White as Marlins getting some 7-on-7 work in with a few different schools from around the Hampton Roads area. Lake Taylor, who made the state championship game, Lakeland, Wilson. Coach, as the dead period's coming up here, what have you seen from your guys here, not just in this, but also you guys have been doing some 7-on-7 over at Kellum weekly as well?
Mm-hmm. Collectively as a group, we've been really gelling. We've been gelling very, very well. Kevin Jenkins, Malik Staten, along with Abraham Evans, Devin Hicks, R.J. Dickerson. Several guys have just been leading the way the right way, especially Nick Young and Tajon Reese on offense, along, of course, with Deshaun Wright. And these guys have they've found a great work pace for our group. They're operating the proper way, especially with attitude and effort. That's the biggest dramatic change we've had from last year to this year, this offseason, is the attitude and effort. Just great efforts and great attitudes across the board.
And you mentioned Hicks. I know he wasn't out here today, but he's a big-time baseball player, as is Malik Newton over at Lake Taylor, and he's been committed, I think, to Old Dominion currently, and certainly one who makes a big presence for your defense on the back end.
Yeah, man, he came out there Wednesday with 7-on-7, and it was just like, just getting right back on the bike for him. I mean, he's big-time in the baseball. Like, he came back into town. I think I picked him up, Wednesday at probably, say, 1:30, and he said, yeah, I got back in town at 10 o'clock. Coming from JMU or somewhere, or Jersey.
Okay.
And, dude just gets out there. He's covering stuff well. Quarterback, he's getting coverage, sacks, and everything like that. He just does it very well. He's 6'1", 200 pounds, and he flies, and he has great control. So he's just precious. He's precious to have. He's a blessing to have back there at free safety.
We know about all the great talent that's come out of Bayside over the years from the likes of Quinn Blanning and Taquan Smoke-Mizell, Demetrius Nicholson, Anthony Cooper, Henry Cole, the list goes on, and the skill position pieces that are produced. This year's a little different in the sense of there's not known names on the offensive side of the ball. You as a coach, do you kind of like that where people aren't saying and writing and talking about some of the offensive pieces because they're not known, but you guys as a staff know what they're capable of going in? Or
I think it allows a kid to focus. They can just focus on playing ball, And yes, in today's society, going by what publication says about you, going by your stars, going by the amount of offers you have and things of that nature, it's one of those things where it allows them to really focus on what's going on. Now, yes, they want those other things to come with it. However, we're going to be more productive if they do it together as a whole. Now, yes, we don't have that star guy with X amount of offers and led the area and whatever. But collectively as a group, we look very good. I can really say that right now.
Well, we don't see this out here, but it's something that we've heard other coaches speak on too. And I think it's really true with you. You bring some really key pieces back up front that could be, I dare say, the strength of your football team with Thurland White, Shad Moore, and some others in the trenches.
Yeah, Thurland White, Shad, especially Dalen Middleton, who's taller than both of them and has longer arms and has that big Darnell Ewell type handshake. I mean, he's a beast. He's only going to be a junior. All three of those guys finished up very well academically, so we're strong in the middle of both offense and defense. The only, person that has some little greenery around him is just be Lil Sean, and he was slated to be the starter.
That's your quarterback.
Yeah, Lil Sean, our quarterback. Yep. So he was slated to be the starter last year, but we just had two better athletes and guys that were more confident, stronger arms, and we went with those last year. And with
Tajay Pollard and Naquez
Saunders. Yep. Those two are just, good athletes and everything like that with experience.
Well, one more guy before we finish up here. Nick Young, I know, a wide receiver that's shown a lot of promise mid-season last year, started to blossom a little bit. He and Evans could be guys that we kind of know about by the time the season's over, even though they're not getting as much pub as some other receivers in the area, dare I say?
Yeah, Nick's doing very well. Tajon Reese is doing very well. And I tell you, Devin Jones and Jaleel Jones.
Devin is the younger brother of Trey, who was your all-beach linebacker that is now at Hampton.
Yes, he's 6'2", 190.5 pounds. Can run by people. He's going to be great blocking in space. He's going to be great on the quick screens. I mean, he's a specimen. He looks great, and he's going to do some good things for us on defense. Along with Aaron Williams and Jermaine Smith in the backfield. I mean, we have some really good pieces. And Lamar Law will be playing that tight end spot. And, of course, if we need to go with another tight end, we have Malik Staten, who has experience there, our middle linebacker. So, along with him, along with, Tyon Pollard, who's returning, all-region linebacker, can play a little bit of tailback or fullback. So we have some very good pieces. And our folks are humble. The humility level of this team is great, especially along with the attitude and effort. So we're very, very eager, especially considering we only gave up 2 touchdowns all day today, which is big for playing 4 games. So
sure.
It's huge.
Lastly, and I appreciate your time, you get the longest streak of consecutive playoff appearances in the Beach, but I know you're wanting more. You're wanting to get to that regional and state level. Give me kind of an outlook, though it's early, of the Beach District, where we've seen a couple of unbeaten teams in the regular season with Ocean Lakes and Lansdowne the last couple of years. We said this, but it hasn't been true. It's wide open this year, and I'm not sure if a 10-0 team happens in the Beach. Your assessment of the Beach and where you guys fit in.
Well, with 7-on-7, the only thing you can really test is your personnel and see how things match up. Our personnel, I like what I see. And seeing how we fared with some other teams, I think also, we have some – it's going to be interesting to see how we match up, I should say. There's certain teams we haven't seen Ocean Lakes, haven't seen the leading lady that we have, FC, which is important for us. We've been able to see Cox and Salem, who's also some threats for us. And, of course, we saw Kinsville and PA as well. So I think we stack up well. And I think it all depends on who stays healthy, obviously, because it's a very personnel-driven game. And it's also looking about who can be more resilient, because if something does happen, how can you respond? And I think our guys have been showing that they can do some good things with that.
Well, we look forward to seeing what's in store for the Marlins. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
So that was Bayside head football coach John White with us at the 7-on-7 yesterday. It's High School Sports Talk on ESPN Radio 94.1. Before we go to break and then finish up and open up the phone lines, their schedule real quickly. They open up with a bye week to start, which can be very difficult. They have to play 10 straight games with no breather in there, whereas the other 10 schools in the Beach get that bye week somewhere during the season. So their opener will technically be September 6th at home against First Colonial, then September 13th against Cox, who eliminated them from the playoffs last year in the opening round. They moved down like Cox from Class 6 to Class 5. Then the Marlins are at Kellum. They host Lansdowne September 27th, who's beaten them the last 2 years, October 4th at Princess Anne, October 12th, a Saturday 2 o'clock game at home against Tallwood, October 18th at Green Run, October 25th against Kempsville, and then in November, really 2 tall tasks there at Salem, at Ocean Lakes. They want to be positioned for the postseason by the time they play those 2 teams. Although they've beaten Salem each of the last 3 years, Ocean Lakes coming off the unbeaten regular season. Bayside has made the playoffs every year since 2009. I figure they'll be in again. They've been 6-4 the last 2 years, 8-2 the year before that. So I might call for somewhere in between and say 7-3 for them. That's what I'm thinking at the moment. But again, a lot can change between now and August when it all gets going. One more segment. Phone lines are open to give us a call at 757-687-9494 if you want to ask about your team. All you Southside football fans, we need some calls from you. The PD and Bay Rivers have been dominating this morning. Give us a call at 757-687-9494 in the Trinity and Trilogy Tattoo Hotline on High School Sports Talk, brought to you by VirginiaPreps.com, right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.
This is High School Sports Talk, presented by VirginiaPreps.com on ESPN Radio 94.1.
Hope you're enjoying this final Saturday of June as July and the hot weather's coming your way. Matt Hatfield here. We've got Thomas Simmons as well. No Coach Ed Young today. We'll get to that poll question in a second. But 2 things. Coming up on Wednesday, Lakeem Rudolph, Green Run wide receiver, defensive back, is going to make his college announcement. He's got a bunch of options, including Liberty, East Carolina, Virginia Tech, Old Dominion, Cincinnati. Just came back from a visit to Temple, so you never know if the Owls could be in play there. I know our buddy Will Driscoll sure is hoping so, but we shall find out coming up on the eve of Independence Day, where he is going to play his college football. We had an interview with him a couple months back, as you recall, here about a month or so ago back on High School Sports Talk. 2 sports stand out, helped Green Run make the state basketball tournament, and also a key football player. Did you see Thomas, who threw out the first pitch of the Gwinnett Stripers game last night?
I did not.
Elizabeth Williams out of Princess Anne High and Duke. She's now with the WNBA's Atlanta Dream, but I happened to see that. She threw out the first pitch. Maybe we can get her to throw out the first pitch if she's in town for a Tides and Gwinnett game. Never know.
I'm sure they could set that up.
I know what the Tides are looking forward to tomorrow is that our buddy Dino Franza, they are 3-0 when he shows up on Sundays at the ballpark this year. So to try to make it 4-0 tomorrow if he does show up, which I hear he may.
Big weekend at the ballpark. You had the Pajaritos last night. I think you got fireworks again tonight. So hopefully Dino could give them that nice magic touch there because they've certainly needed it.
Tell you what, if you show up tomorrow, they're going to basically kidnap him and make him show up at every home game so they can get back into the chase. So our poll question before we sign off, HS Sports Talk 941, what's the results looking like before we say adieu today?
So we asked simply, where is Coach Ed
Where
Young?
is he?
Today you had London for the Yankees-Red Sox game, in Suffolk taking the day off, in Charlotte or in Las Vegas. And the people have spoken. 41% believe he is in Suffolk.
What?
Taking the day off.
I'm not buying
by
that.
30% saying he's in London for the Yankees-Red Sox game.
That might be true.
Las Vegas beating out Charlotte by just 1% 15 to 14% in favor of Las Vegas there.
He'll be
Charlotte
in those two cities.
Up the rear.
I just don't know if he's in either of those two cities this weekend. But those are two of his favorite cities in America, Charlotte and Las Vegas. But he'll be watching the Yankees-Red Sox if he's not there. Be the first regular season games to be played in Europe, and you can hear it right here on ESPN Radio 94.1. You can also hear the Tides right here. And that's going to do it for High School Sports Talk. We thank all the guests and the interviews you heard from Hank Sawyer of Lake Taylor and John White of Bayside, and Larry Archie of Granby, and Creighton Incorminias of Bethel. Rodney Taylor live from Menchville High, new football coach there. You also heard from Keith and all the callers in the first two segments. We might have set a record for calls there. And Arthur Moats from a couple weeks ago. For Thomas Simmons, I'm Matt Hatfield. Enjoy your final weekend of June, and we'll talk to you again in July right here on ESPN Radio 94.1.